October 2, 2024, News Report 1. On the evening of October 1, Iran launched over 400 missiles at Israel, with the attack lasting for more than half an hour. Alarms sounded throughout Israel, and explosions were heard in Jerusalem and the Jordan Valley. Israeli military spokesperson Hagari stated that the defense systems of Israel and the United States intercepted most of the missiles, with only a few hitting the ground, resulting in 2 minor injuries. Prime Minister Netanyahu, in a televised address, stated that Iran has made a grave mistake and will pay the price, emphasizing Israel's determination for self-defense and retaliation. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps of Iran claimed that this attack was a retaliation against Israeli strikes on the leader of Hezbollah, Nasrallah, Hamas leader Haniyeh, and senior Iranian military officials. The order was given by the Supreme Leader Khamenei. The U.S. White House monitored the attack, with President Biden and Vice President Harris staying in contact from the war room. U.S. Secretary of Defense Austin reiterated the commitment to Israel's security during a call with Israeli Defense Minister Gallant. UK Prime Minister Starmer and German Foreign Minister Baerbock both condemned Iran's attack, stressing that the assault must stop immediately. As the situation escalates, international concerns about the Middle East are growing, which may further impact Iran's nuclear facilities and regional stability. News Report 2. According to Radio France Internationale, the U.S. Coast Guard reported that Chinese and Russian Coast Guard ships conducted a joint patrol in the Bering Sea on September 28. This fleet was discovered about 700 kilometers southwest of St. Lawrence Island, consisting of 4 ships, 2 of which were Chinese Coast Guard vessels and the other 2 Russian. Coast Guard Commander Dean stated that the joint patrol by China and Russia in the Bering Sea indicates the increasing interest of both countries in the Arctic region. The U.S. will continue to address the activities of China and Russia. In July, the U.S. Coast Guard spotted PLA Navy ships operating within U.S. exclusive economic waters. In the same month, Chinese and Russian bombers conducted their first joint patrol in international airspace near Alaska, entering U.S. air defense identification zones. These events indicate a deepening military cooperation between China and Russia in the Arctic and surrounding areas, drawing significant U.S. attention. News Report 3. U.S. President Biden signed the Enhanced Presidential Security Act into law on October 1. This bill was overwhelmingly passed by the House of Representatives on September 20 with 405 votes in favor and none against. The law requires the U.S. Secret Service to apply the same standards to protect the president, vice president, and vice presidential candidates, and to regularly report to congressional leaders on the protection of candidates. The bill stems from 2 attack incidents involving former President Trump. Meanwhile, a survey regarding the current political situation shows that competition between Vice President Harris and Trump remains intense. UBS surveyed 900 U.S. investors with at least $1 million in assets and 500 entrepreneurs, finding that 57% of investors preferred Harris, while 43% supported Trump. Among entrepreneurs, 47% supported Harris and 53% supported Trump. The survey also indicated that 84% of investors and 83% of entrepreneurs believe economic issues are the most critical topics in the election. Additionally, vice presidential candidates Waltz and Vance held a televised debate on the evening of October 1. During the debate, the moderator raised questions about American democracy, to which Vance acknowledged some issues in Trump's 2020 election, suggesting that these issues should be resolved openly and peacefully. Waltz criticized Vance for not admitting Trump's 2020 election loss and expressed concern that Trump might not accept the results of this year's election. On economic issues, Waltz criticized Trump's handling of the pandemic, claiming it led to the collapse of the U.S. economy. Vance defended Trump's economic policies, asserting they set many records but faced criticism from educated individuals lacking common sense. The debate was lively and became a focal point for viewers. News Report 4. According to AFP, on October 1, a Chinese man stabbed 3 5-year-old children in a shopping center in Zurich, Switzerland, with one boy suffering severe injuries. The incident occurred shortly after noon when a nursery teacher was leading the children to their daycare and was attacked by the knife-wielding man. With the help of bystanders, the teacher managed to subdue the man and detain him until the police arrived to arrest him. The 23-year-old Chinese man was arrested on September 1st, and no further information about him is currently available. Notably, this incident has raised public concern over safety issues, particularly in light of similar cases in recent years. For example, on September 18, a boy in Shenzhen, China, was stabbed to death on his way to school by another Chinese man, and on August 27, in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, a Chinese man threw scalding coffee on a 9-month-old baby, causing severe burns from the head to the abdomen before fleeing Australia. These violent incidents have sparked widespread concern, with the public calling for enhanced tracking and arrest of those involved to prevent similar occurrences. News Report 5. Radio France Internationale reported that on October 1, the Canadian government announced a 25% surtax on Chinese steel and aluminum products, expected to take effect on October 22. Canadian Finance Minister Freeland stated that these measures aim to protect Canadian industries from unfair competition due to overcapacity in China. Additionally, starting October 1, Canada will impose a 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles, including trucks, powered vehicles, and buses, following a similar approach taken by the United States. At the same time, China announced an anti-dumping investigation into canola seed imports from Canada on September 3. China is Canada's second-largest importer of canola seeds, with imports last year reaching $5 billion Canadian dollars, second only to the U.S. Professor Gillen from Toronto Metropolitan University noted that trade frictions between Canada and China are intensifying, and both sides may be gearing up for a trade war. He believes that China is currently experiencing trade disputes with countries like the EU, the US, and Canada, and may soon direct its focus toward Australia. News Report 6. Bloomberg reported that on October 1, U.S. Deputy Treasury Secretary Brent Neiman spoke at the International Monetary Fund, IMF, official forum, pointing out issues with China's foreign exchange swap arrangements and currency swaps. He stated that currency swaps are financial instruments involving the exchange of equivalent currencies between two countries. The People's Bank of China has signed currency swap agreements with several countries, such as Sri Lanka, Laos, and Argentina, but Neiman emphasized that the People's Bank has not provided detailed reports on each currency swap to the IMF, leading to significant confusion regarding these agreements. Neiman called on the IMF to avoid simply including China's data when calculating foreign reserves for developing countries. He pointed out that China is not counted in the foreign reserve data and that the IMF stipulates that foreign reserves must be readily available and controlled by monetary authorities, but China's currency swap arrangements clearly violate this provision. Furthermore, Neiman criticized the IMF for being too lenient in its criticism of China's economic policies, not publicly commenting on the role of Chinese state-owned banks in exchange rate management, nor explaining why changes in the People's Bank's balance sheet do not align with reserve transactions in China's international balance of payments data. These statements suggest his concerns about the transparency of the Chinese central bank and its foreign exchange management, highlighting potential risks of falsification or misconduct. News Report 7. According to AFP, Japan's new Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba held his first press conference on the evening of October 1 at the Prime Minister's residence, where he presented several important points regarding foreign policy, economic issues, political reform, and security treaties and military strategy. Ishiba pointed out that Japan is facing the most severe regional security situation since World War II. He emphasized the need to build on the Japan-US alliance and expand cooperation with like-minded countries to maintain Japan's security and regional stability through strengthened diplomacy and defense. Additionally, the government will continue to focus on cybersecurity and the safety of Japanese citizens overseas. On economic matters, Ishiba stated that the top priority is to lead Japan out of deflation while maintaining loose economic and fiscal policies. He mentioned plans to implement economic support measures, including increasing real wages and promoting corporate capital expenditure. Regarding political issues, he emphasized that the most pressing task is political reform to restore public trust in the Liberal Democratic Party, which has been damaged by corruption scandals. On September 27, the day he was elected president of the Liberal Democratic Party, Ishiba also published an article on the Hudson Institute's website about the future of Japan's foreign policy, proposing to amend the Japan-US Security Treaty to correct the asymmetrical relationship between the two countries. He advocated for elevating the Japan-US alliance to a status equal to that of the Anglo-American alliance and suggested the creation of an Asian version of NATO, to counter the nuclear threats from China, Russia, and North Korea, allowing the U.S. to deploy nuclear weapons in Japan, which breaks Japan's 3 non-nuclear principles. Ishiba's statements demonstrate a hardline stance on security and foreign policy, showing a more aggressive attitude than anticipated by the outside world. News Report 8. According to Bloomberg, Philippine Airlines announced on October 1 that it will reduce flights from Manila to Beijing and Guangzhou in the coming months due to weak demand. Flight tracking websites show that the number of flights to China has not yet returned to pre-pandemic levels. The number of Chinese tourists, which used to be the second largest tourist group in the Philippines, has now dropped to 20% of pre-pandemic levels. Additionally, AirAsia Philippines announced on September 14 that it would suspend all flights between Manila and Chinese cities in the fourth quarter. AirAsia's CEO, Isla, stated that the company's sales have not yet recovered to pre-pandemic levels, particularly on routes to China. Meanwhile, Cebu Pacific and China Southern Airlines have also cancelled or reduced flights between the Philippines and China in recent months. Analysts believe that weak tourism demand and strained relations between the Philippines and China have significantly reduced the flow of people between the two countries. This series of changes reflects the challenges and complexities facing the current international aviation market. News Report 9. According to Radio France Internationale, Cambodian Deputy Prime Minister Sun Chanthol stated on October 1 at a U.S. think tank event that once the expansion project of the Ream Naval Base is completed, warships from any country could dock there for humanitarian rescue missions or joint military exercises. He emphasized that Cambodia welcomes visits from the U.S. Navy to the Ream base. The Ream Naval Base was once a site for joint training and exercises between the U.S. and Cambodia, but due to rising tensions in U.S.-Cambodian relations, Cambodia dismantled U.S. facilities at the base in October 2020. Since June 2022, China has been assisting Cambodia in upgrading the Ream Naval Base, and since December of last year, 2 Chinese warships have been stationed at the base to help train the Cambodian Navy. The U.S. military has expressed concern that the Ream base may become a forward base for the Chinese military. In June of this year, U.S. Defense Secretary Austin held talks with Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet and former Prime Minister Hun Sen to discuss the restoration of military training and exchanges, as well as demoning issues. Sun Chanthol pointed out that if the U.S. does not actively participate, Cambodia will turn to China for cooperation. This move reflects the complexities of regional security and international relations. News Report 10. According to Ming Pao, on October 1, the first day of the National Day holiday, there were severe delays on the Beijing-Guangzhou high-speed railway, causing a large number of travelers to be stranded at Zhengzhou East Station. Many netizens posted on Weibo, reporting that their journeys were affected. Some mentioned that the G734 train from Beijing West to Guiyang North was stopped at Zhengzhou East Station for 1.5 hours without departing. As of 10 p.m. on October 1, several trains remained stranded at Zhengzhou East Station, including the G734 from Xi'an North to Guiyang North and the G8414 from Xi'an North to Shenzhen North, the latter of which was delayed by 3.5 hours. The Zhengzhou Railway Bureau indicated that equipment failure at Zhengzhou East Station caused delays for trains heading south, but the issue had been resolved by that afternoon. Netizens expressed dissatisfaction, arguing that with additional trains running during the holiday, a delay of one train would inevitably affect subsequent services. They questioned whether the high-speed rail department had conducted equipment inspections and repairs before the holiday and criticized the situation as indicative of management failure. This incident highlights the vulnerability of the transportation system during peak passenger periods and the importance of passenger experience. News Report 11. The Chinese National Day holiday began on October 1st, and data released by Trip.com indicated that Japan has become the most popular outbound travel destination for Chinese tourists, followed by Thailand and South Korea. Despite some concerns about safety in Japan, many still choose to travel there. Reports noted a Chinese man traveling with his 2-year-old child who stated he had visited Japan multiple times and was not worried about safety issues. News Report 12. According to the Chinese customs authorities, a recent incident at Guangzhou Baiyun International Airport involving a traveler attempting to bring in $1.8 million in cash has garnered significant attention. The traveler, who arrived in Guangzhou on Air China, did not declare the cash he was carrying. Customs officers used an X-ray machine to check his luggage and discovered numerous rectangular pieces of paper, which raised suspicions of being currency. Upon further inspection, customs officials found the luggage stuffed with bundles of $100 and $50 bills, ultimately confirming the total amount exceeded $1.8 million. According to regulations, travelers entering or exiting the country who carry more than 20,000 yuan, approximately $2,800, or $5,000 in cash are required to declare their funds. The cash carried by this traveler will be confiscated by customs, reminding the public to pay attention to relevant laws and regulations when traveling to avoid unnecessary losses. News Report 13. According to reports from Asia Radio, exiled Hong Kong activist Tong Wai-hung held a rally with the grassroots organization Hong Kong Programming Youth in Ximen, Taipei, on October 1 to oppose the 75th anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party's rule and express solidarity with the victims of its persecution. At the rally, several flags reading, "Recover Hong Kong, Revolution of Our Times," were displayed. However, conflicts erupted. 2 Chinese tourists seized the flags during the rally and threw them on the ground, claiming, "Today is China's National Day, such flags are not allowed." Tong Wai-hung immediately countered, emphasizing that this is Taiwan, not China, and urged the tourists not to act violently. The tourists continued to argue with Tong, stating, "Taiwan and Hong Kong are both part of China," while Tong insisted, "Taiwan belongs to the Taiwanese, and Hong Kong belongs to the Hong Kongers." Eventually, police intervened to separate both sides and asked the 2 tourists to leave, allowing the rally to continue. Tong stated that if these tourists do not believe in freedom and democracy, they should return to China. This incident once again highlighted the political divisions regarding cross-strait relations and the Hong Kong issue, sparking intense discussions around democracy, freedom, and national identity. News Report 14. According to NHK, Shibuya Ward in Tokyo has implemented a new alcohol prohibition policy starting October 1. This ban prohibits drinking in public places and on the streets every day from 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. the following morning. The Shibuya Ward office stated that since the end of the pandemic, an increasing number of young people and foreign tourists have been drinking in public, leading to disturbances and littering issues. Initially, this alcohol ban was only enforced on Halloween and New Year's Eve. However, in June of this year, the Shibuya Ward Assembly passed an amendment to expand the ban to cover the entire year, applicable in various locations from Shibuya Station to the Shibuya Ward office and parks. Although staff members will patrol to advise violators, the Shibuya Ward office stated that no fines or other penalties will be imposed on those who violate the ban. This measure aims to maintain public order and improve environmental hygiene.